So Alexandros comes to after the seizure. He's on the deck of the Chimera. Yeah. I mean, I think he's in a different place. Um, he's on the deck of the command deck of the Chimera.
Yeah.
He doesn't remember how he got there, and klaxons are ringing, and red alerts are going,
Yeah.
and there's he has a memory of the rending of metal as the ship was pulled off of the dock, and all of the anchors that are supposed to hold it were pulled off with it, and they're and so there are things banging into the ship that shouldn't be banging in,
Uh-huh.
and causing damage, and
No, normally I'd be like, I want to read a sitch to see what's going on, but I think this is as a result of failing a read a sitch roll.
right,
The sitch is happening, and
yeah,
I got to respond to it.
yep.
Um, and so
It's
I
kind of a
think,
new sitch. I wouldn't be against you. I feel like the old Rita Sitch roll was more general. If you want
yeah,
to do that again, that's totally fine.
okay, all
Uh,
right, because I feel like I'm gonna play some fucking weird time games with you right now. I feel like maybe in a game, maybe in a part, I feel like maybe in a session that something that happened in the background, or possibly something that happened in sort of an alternate timeline. Alexei has had some kind of experience along these lines because with Klaus, we talked about a little bit about like skimming around the gravitational well and like doing tricks with it. And I don't
right.
think we actually did that on screen, but I'm gonna like remember something that happened with Klaus. But let's read a switch and see what's going on.
Cool. And I feel like if you're using that, let's read a sitch with your newly trained psionic ability of 0.
Okay.
If that's like the color you're pulling from.
Yeah, because I think it's right, right. Because I think if it was normally Rita Sitch, it would be leadership and it would be like me asking everybody what's going on. But I have a feeling that like everything is so hectic and chaotic right now that this is literally just staring out there and like remembering something that I may or may not have actually experienced in this timeline. But yes, so 2d6 plus 0 it is.
Cool.
9. Okay. I'll take it.
Yep.
All right. On a 7 to 9, ask the MC one question. Okay, I know what I want to do, so I'm not going to ask you what's the best way out because I have a
Okay.
way out that I want to follow.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you what represents the best opportunity for me to do X. What represents the best opportunity for me to fly into the Leviathan,
Right.
pick up enough speed that we can slingshot off of it rather than trying to resist the pull?
Yeah, yeah.
How
Um,
can I do that the
I
best?
think you would have to take manual control, and while also sending out someone to take the moorings off, like take the anchor moorings that you've ripped off of the dock,
Mm-hmm.
and cut them from the ship because they're doing damage, and they're
Right.
going to fuck up your ability to navigate.
Yeah. Awesome. And I think I just start yelling orders. Like
Cool.
it's just like this is my. It's almost like I've forgotten for a moment what we're going on. I'm like, this is my
Yeah.
ship,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's my ship, but everyone's panicking right now, and I'm on the command deck, so this is the place to do it.
Yep.
So I yell to one of the knights who presumably we have on this ship. We got
Yep.
void knights on this ship that like have we got void knights on this ship that have fought on the whole of the ship before, right? Like this isn't an entirely new concept. I mean, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I grab her by the shoulders. Do we have it? Do we have some names of previous knights? I
Oh, I
feel.
know who it is, Sean. I know who it is.
Yeah. Who is it?
Oh, it's Paris.
Is Paris? Oh my
Yeah.
god, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you grab Paris by the shoulders, and like, maybe like twitch as, oh my god, you're alive, and
Yeah.
you give him the orders,
Yeah. And I say,
and
you need
for
to suit
those,
up and go get those clamps off the hull. They're
right,
tearing the ship apart.
and he salutes and goes and does it, and as he walks away, he's not coming back. Like
Okay.
he walks away, and
God damn it! I sent Paris to his death twice. Son of a bitch.
yep, and
Something.
that in your original timeline, Paris died, partially because of you, partially because of Nestor, and
But he was
yeah,
pulled into the Leviathan.
and he got pulled into the Leviathan, and he's getting pulled into the Leviathan again.
God damn it. Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I wince when I realize it's like I know it as I'm saying it.
yeah,
There's no opportunity to retract it because the knowledge and the action are simultaneous. And
right.
it's like I decided that knowing that, even though I didn't know that until I decided that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's some good time travel weird shit. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
cool.
I
Awesome.
think
It's
yeah,
horrible. I feel awful about killing Paris twice, but yeah, the ship, we're gonna keep the rest of us from dying. And as soon as he's going, I start commanding helm, and I say, "Stop trying to get out of it. Our engines are not sufficient. Change these coordinates." And like the coordinates are into it,
right, right.
Um, and I say we're going to fly into it until we hit terminal velocity. And as soon as we do, we're gonna gun it as hard as we can into it. And as soon as we hit terminal velocity, we're gonna cut hard, and we're gonna
Yeah.
use it to spin around the other side. We're gonna come out way on the other side of what's the area of the moons the Leviathan called? Like, what is this like? Do we have a name? I think orbital cluster.
Yep.
That's maybe generic. I said we're gonna come out way on the other side of the orbital cluster, but we will come out of it.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like I'm acting under fire right now.
Oh, yeah, you are. I mean, I feel like this could be, if we were publishing a book, I think this would be this would be the example of acting under fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'm rolling leadership.
Yep.
And I'm gonna take +1 for my Rita Sitch.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Indeed.
And I still can't do it. What in the world? Folks at home, if you ever thought I cheated at Roll20,
I do. I think you cheat all the time.
I must cheat all the time. And like, I was rolling +3.
I'm seeing, well, you rolled a straight 2.
I rolled a 2 and I rolled a 3, and I had 2 for my leadership and 1 for reading the Sitch. And I don't think there's anything I could do to make that. I usually am fine missing rolls. I really didn't want to miss that one, but
yeah, love it.
Well,
yeah, my Roll20 is frozen, so I can't see it, but I take your word for it, and I can see it up on the screen.
Yeah. Yep, that's what it is.
Awesome. You are on the command deck, and things are starting to get weird. And the ship is shuddering, and you hear your sister Astara say, Paris got the clamps, got the anchors off, but we can't find his signal. And it's definitely that things are going so fast that it's a blur, and people are starting to bend and twist in weird ways.
Yeah.
And the Alexei who has been in this timeline since the beginning, keeping care of his brother, steps onto the deck. And I think like everyone is just thrown all over the place, and gravity is pulling on them in ways that are inhumane and
Mhm.
terrible and fell. And you're going into the gas giant, and all kinds of weird diamond dust is going against the hull, and things are flashing and sparking.
I want to, before you finish narrating, Judd, I want to throw out an idea.
Yeah,
If you've really like got like something good for this six, then let's go with it. But
yeah.
I want to throw out an idea that, because I was thinking, I was like, is it possible for me to get help? Like, does the help someone move possibly work on a one player game? Is that possible?
Mm.
And then you just said the Alexi from this timeline, and now I want to know if I can help myself. If Alexi can help Alexi, and I can try to salvage that +1 to make this a 7 with whatever fucking terrible cost, because Act Under Fire 7 results are not great, but they're better than 6 results. Does
So
that sound?
he's a different person. So do you want to ask him for help?
Yeah, because he has been fighting with the pirates and using them in wartime. And
Right,
this is where I got the idea, was from Klaus.
right.
Um, I mean, that's what I heard. That's what Aster told me. So I think he might know how to do this. He might be able to coordinate with me.
Cool. What do you say?
This is
Do you,
not the first time Alexi from the past has seen Alexi from the future.
right. But it's not even from the future. It's
No, it's not.
it's Alexi from now talking to Alexi from now. Like it's a
Yeah, but
weird.
I'm definitely Alexi from the future. I mean, I just look like shit.
Right, right.
I have this burst vessels in my eye. Like, he knows it's, even though it was years ago that he saw this Alexi,
Yeah.
that was Alexi in the future. And I helped you once. Now I need you to help me. We're going to be torn apart if we can't if we can't keep. And I ultimately think it's not a matter of like, can the ship do it? It's, oh, fucking A. Hold on. The ship has 3 hulls. I think we need to let them go. I think we need to we need to fucking Enterprise this shit and separate the saucer section and like let go of the other 2 hulls so that we can rock it through.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just getting stupid right now, but
No,
I'm
no,
getting
no, no. I
ridiculous.
love it. I mean,
But
let's
I
look at.
say, like, I ultimately think this is not a matter of the ship's capacity as much as a matter of the people on its ability to coordinate and willingness to do whatever they have to do to like get us through it.
Right.
I think it's really more a matter of like getting everybody coordinated than it is about like, can we push the ship a little harder?
Right. I mean, you wrote this months ago, but the Chimera, home to the lords of the ruling houses, lion, snake, and goat, 3 hulls bound by gravitic tethers, driven by neutrino propulsion, creating an antimatter field just in front of the ship, which pulls the ship into it, leaving behind a corona of fire as antimatter and matter collide just after it passes, which looks like a flaming comet. So yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
maybe it's, damn, that was dope. Past Sean had some good writing chops.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's not releasing the hulls. Maybe it's reversing the polarity on the neutrino field and like opening up and like
Oh yeah. I've been
yeah,
watching a lot of Star Trek. You're talking right to me. Like like you just need to use the word subspace somewhere in there. Like you need to
yeah.
create a subspace anomaly.
I think it's an inversion. I think it's a subspace inversion where we where I think we are going to not travel. I don't think the slingshot's going to work. I think we are going to teleport, which isn't a technology that we have. But I think we're going to create an inversion where we collapse the neutrino field and reopen it on the other side and come out on the other side of the orbital cluster. And we just take all that energy, and we don't actually travel through it, through the Leviathan, but we come out on the equidistant side on the other part of it with the same momentum flying down.
Right. Right.
At least that's my present me talking to present me notion.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there something about this, Alexei Tertiary, who that makes him look a little bit different, right? Like you've got a bit of a pirate on a deserted island vibe to you.
Yeah.
But is there something about him? Like, does he have some kind of?
I mean, how like the thing that comes to mind immediately, and this may be a boring choice, but like I'm happy to new choice this and think of something else. But the thing that comes to me in mind immediately is like a cybernetic arm. Like it's just like you talked about, like having all these battles on the side of the ship, and like I just imagine like these battles have consequences. And
Yep, I'm down with that. Yeah. Totally. Totally. He's got a cybernetic arm. I love it. And he says, what did we gain by me doing what you told me to do?
Our sister's alive. Our brother is safe. But we lost a lot more. But there's much that we lost as well. Right now, you could not help me, and we would preserve whatever the Leviathan seeks for us, if it in fact seeks things, but we would lose those we care about the most.
And somewhere in the distance, you hear, I think, time is doing weird things right now, right? You're moving at speeds that are, ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, there's I think there's like a blur effect where like we like like you can see us kind of split apart over time.
Yeah. And you hear Astara say, "Who is he talking to?" And other Alexei says, "What about Leto?" And that's not a name you've ever heard before.
Yeah. I was just looking at my document. I was like, what?
Yeah. No. If you've never heard it before, it's because he was not in the other game. That is not a character who was in the other game.
And there's there's both this sense of urgency, like, oh, we got to do this, but there's also, I feel like, this sense of timelessness.
Yeah.
Where it's like
everything's slowing down. Absolutely.
Everything's slowing down, and I like reach out and I reach out and like I put my hand like on like the shoulder of his like cybernetic arm, and I say, I'm sorry, I don't know who Leto. I don't know Leto. Leto was not part of my story.
He nods and he says, "He'll still be here when we're not going to change time again, are we? We're not going to erase anyone.
We're still in the now." And I like look at the true sword on my side, which he might also have on his side. And I mean, there's no reason to suspect that he doesn't. And I say, we're still in the present ish. And my understanding is that if we can, the less time we spend here, the less we do here, the less time we spend here, the less spillage that we'll have. We need to
Nice
do
use
this.
of spillage.
We need to do this. We need to do it now.
Yeah. So I'm gonna roll for him because I think he's a different person.
Yeah.
And Jesus. Excuse my cussing. So I think he had a +3, HX with you.
Yeah.
But I rolled a 3. And so
you roll. Okay.
Yeah. He takes out his sword and says, "I can't risk it. I won't risk my son."
Is he brandishing the sword against me?
Yeah.
Awesome. Wow. I thought the first game that we did was like the most epic of like space shit games.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do battle. I mean, well, maybe I don't want to do battle. I want to lock blades with him, but I don't know that I actually want to hurt him.
Right.
And I tell him, don't do this, and I know how important it is to see the ones we love. Give yourself the chance to see your son. Fail at this, and you'll leave him an orphan.
Right.
And
do you want to open your brain?
I think that's naturally what happens when the true sword clashes with itself.
Yeah.
Because I'm not like, I mean, I think I'm saying this over cross blades. Like, I'm not, like, he draws his sword and I'm going to respond in kind.
Cool. I think when you open your brain to the world psychic maelstrom, which is not exactly what's happening, but you're using psychic shit. On any hit, the MC must tell you something new and interesting about the current situation and might ask you a question or two. Answer them frankly. On a 10+, the MC must give you at least one good concrete detail. On a 7 to 9, the MC can stick to impressions and suggestions. If you already know everything there is to know, the MC must tell you so. And I think you're rolling 0.
Yeah. All right. Something. I got an 8.
Okay.
I mean,
on any hit, the MC must tell you something new and interesting about the current situation, and might ask
you a question or two. Okay.
I might ask you a question or two.
Got
cool.
It.
Do you want to? Does Alexi Prime want to leave this time and let Alexi Tertiary deal with this problem? Or I should say, is he willing to? Or maybe I should put the question, here's the question. How does Alexi Prime deal with the very real feeling that the time stream wants to rip him out of here and leave Alexi Tertiary as the Alexi in this time?
Mm-hmm. I feel like Alexi Prime, the character I'm playing, is okay with the idea of being ripped out at this time if he knows he's like leaving it in good hands. Yeah. So if Alexi Tertiary can
Yeah.
do this, like if I've
Yeah.
given him what he needs to do
Yeah.
this, then I'm okay getting sucked out of this timeline to stop the Leviathan's pull. Maybe the Leviathan is maybe it's me being here that is the reason why the Leviathan is pulling so hard and so desperate to get us in. And if
Right.
Alexei Tertiary can save Astra, then yes. If and I don't maybe I can't set those conditions, but the that's the if I feel like he can do it, then yeah, I would
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Um, cool. Um, and I guess the other question is where. No, I don't need another question. So the vague feeling you have is that Alexei Tertiary has everything he needs, and you can tell him a little more before you go.
Mm-hmm.
What do you tell him?
Um, Sorry, I need a second to think about the implications of me being gone again
Yeah.
and not knowing where I'm going and what needs
Yeah.
to be done. I think I tell him because I think it's going to be critical. I think I tell him find Ithaca. Fucking flying into the goddamn Leviathan anyway.
Yeah.
You know, if there's ever a time to 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 find it, it's like find Atlantis is what I'm saying. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Alexei Tertiary, who's known it's been gone for a year,
Yeah.
right? And like I'm not saying he needs to do it like right now in this moment. Like this is
Yeah.
like his quest or whatnot, like what he needs to know. And I like again, like I think the true sword is like resonating and it's vibrating and the light show that's going on around it and over it, I yell like find Ithaca and then I pull back and like separate the blades
Right.
and
Right.
let the Leviathan do with me what it will, honestly.
Yep.
Like I honestly think I'm the reason why it's getting pulled in and the
Yeah.
moment I'm gone, they'll be able to get out.
Yep. Um, awesome. You pull out of this timeline and move through time and space, and the next place you find yourself is another it's another setting with it's Ithaca Station, and it's Ithaca Station. um it's like an apocalyptic Ithaca Station, right? That has been moving through the Leviathan for you know engineering nuns know how long, or engineering saints know how long, and
Mm-hmm.
you are uh, the emergency um, domes are up, and uh, yeah, there's literally like dust from the Leviathan, like moving through the streets
Mm-hmm.
in kind of a wind, and yeah, you're walking up the main boulevard of Ithaca Station, of a post fall Ithaca Station.
Right. And I mean, I feel like there's this like, you know, moment of just looking around and sort of taking in. I imagine there's like these powerful winds and all this swirling. Like I can't imagine. I imagine visibility is really low, and like we just see like shadows of structures that you used to be able to see because it's within the gas giant, and there's these
Yeah.
opaque or at least not transparent gases that are traveling through. Inexplicably, I hope I could. I think breathing is okay, but I feel like the first thing to do is like run to shelter, and I
Right.
feel and I would, yeah, I think I'd run to get in, to get inside, so I'm not pulled into the Leviathan myself.
Right. Um, you run into not the main cathedral, but a little church,
Mm-hmm.
and the the name of the church is Church of the Martyr. Get the name right. Church of the Saint, Church of the Science Saint Theano. And it's the engineering nun who gave you that sword, and I think in her hand, in a statue in her arms is a working void suit. Matter of fact, it's your working void suit.
Wow, that's wild. Um, yeah, I think we like cut to me putting the helmet on, and we can
Right.
see through the visor before I like just before I press the button that makes the visor like go black. We
Right.
can see the we could see my face and my eyes, and we like know that this is from my left eye. We know that this is still um, Alexei Prime, and and then yeah, and I pull it over, and I think the next thing is like this scene of like walking through with like the grav boots on, and clunk clunk clunk, and kind of going up the side of the hill, and going to the like. And also I think there's some after I have the suit on, there's like a gesture of observance, right? Like a thanks to,
Right.
just like we saw Astra kiss, her, it's like the same gesture that Astra did earlier of like,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Maybe
you
like
know,
kissing, and then like the statue's feet.
yeah, exactly. Um, and then I think I'm gonna head to the cathedral
Yeah.
because that's where the charging station is.
Yep. Um. Awesome. Awesome. Actually, I think we've the charging bay for the true sword is actually at your family estate. Is
You're
what we've
right.
usually, yeah.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, I think when you get to your estate, uh, the guard robots, the robot servants are there,
Shit. Of
and
course they
they
are.
um, get into a perimeter around you as if they're there to guard you and help you. And I think like one of them goes to your suit and gives it some maintenance, and said, I think one of them like uh accesses your helmet speakers and says, welcome back, Lord Alexei.
Um,
We did not expect you to be able to make it back here.
Thank you. Forget what SAS stood for, but I remember that was the
Oh, I definitely have that written down somewhere. Hold on. Surveillance and stealth security.
yes. I think I'd say thank you, SAS 47. I didn't. I'm glad that you have persisted in your duties. I've lost track of things. I need you to tell me the date, and I think we should see Alexi hearing it. I don't know if you want to say it because I think the moment we like start actually writing down numbers, we're going to mess ourselves up.
Right, right.
So
I think SAS 47 says the magnetic fields in the Leviathan have made it very difficult to keep time. So I will subspace anomaly our way out of that ship.
yeah, you'll defer answering that. I like that.
Yeah, yeah,
I say, can you? Well, yeah, they seem perfectly capable right now, and I say, please send an escort with me to the palace.
of course. You
Is
are giving
anyone?
off radiation uh, congruent with temporal anomalies. Are you okay?
And I repeat back to it the same excuse it made for not giving me a good answer. I say the magnetic field within Leviathan causes makes it difficult to answer that question.
Mm. It just nods. And you know, describing these things again, they're you know, kind of like a torso on a ball on a sphere that they roll on magnetically. And then
Mm-hmm.
I think like they don't necessarily have arms, but like they like a magnet, like they magnetically hold, you know, kind of polearm spears ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so like the spears like go upward and like go over their shoulder when they are and like with a magnetic click when they are at attention, and they, you know, it nods in a very kind of almost human way,
Mm-hmm.
and they, you
I
know,
think we
move.
designed the torso and the head part to feel humanish, so that
Right.
it didn't feel strange to us interacting with it.
Right, totally, totally. And yeah, there was a design that was just like a big sphere, and it, you know, people didn't like it,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, they move with you to the charging bay, you know, in your ancestral home, in the headquarters,
Yeah.
and uh, yeah, I mean, I think it's this kind of almost medieval looking nook,
Yeah.
but in the middle of it is this you know, science fantasy scabbard attached to a big old battery.
I think the scabbard, if I remember, or if I'm just adding this detail, the scabbard is actually set in a statue of Sir Pence, the founder,
Nice,
house founder, and
love
so
it.
like there's a statue of him and like this that's all stone or marble or something like that, but then the scabbard itself is this super high tech like device, and yeah, and I think I um, like bow before my ancestor, and then is he? I'm thinking, you know, there's nobody who survived this, but the digital ancestors might very well have survived this.
Right. Yeah. I was thinking that the digital ancestors were projected
Yeah,
kind of in a semicircle around you. But because of the magnetic interference of being in the Leviathan, I think they're very glitchy.
yeah,
Right. It's just, there's a lot of, um, you know, old TV set glitch and
yeah,
haze and snow. Uh, but they are watching you.
yeah. So I think before I put it in the charging station, I'm going to try and find the ancestor who's the most coherent, who seems to be responsive.
Yeah.
And I say, you know, Ancient One, Lord of Ithaca, because these are all people who have ruled Ithaca in the past. I mean,
Right. Right.
every one of them deserves that title. Um, our home has fallen into the void, into the Leviathan. Was there ever a design? Was there ever a failsafe built to rescue it? Should the orbit fail?
Hmm.
Totally cool. The answer is no. I'm just, you know, I'm wondering if the people before us ever thought like this might happen.
Yeah. I think Nestor's answer, and Nestor's, affirming pronouns are they, them, and Nestor, or not Nestor, Serpens. Serpens's pronouns, and Serpens says, "We had no idea that that the station could last this long within the Leviathan itself. We thought it would be destroyed."
So there must be something keeping it from falling apart, either internal or external.
We believe it's just our engineering or the will of the Leviathan, if you believe in such things. And I think like at that point, there's like a ping that lets you know that the sword is charged enough where it can be talked to. And I think like all of the ancestors who were watching this conversation in like, glitchy interest, turn and look at the sword like, oh shit, like there are the answers, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm so scared of the sword being charged now. I love that the true sword is now fucking terrifying to Alexei because he's like, he doesn't want to just go on time travel shenanigans, right? Like he's not, um, yeah. But yeah, I pull it from the scabbard and I hold it and I sort of, I think like the visor I don't lift it, but the visor goes clear again and we can see almost like trembling, like Alexei's pretty convinced that he might not survive this, but also if he didn't survive this, then maybe things would even out. So he's not suicidal, but he's not suicidal, he's not fatalistic, but he's definitely like unsure of what's meant to be.
Yeah.
And if such a thing exists. And so I commune with the sword because yeah, that's what you do when your space station is fallen into the Leviathan.
Yep. Sorry, I accidentally muted you there for a second because I was trying to mute myself.
No problem.
Awesome. Well, I think we should roll.
Yeah,
right?
I think I'm opening my brain again.
Yeah.
But this time I get to roll +0 instead of -2. So
yep.
I will take a 7.
Cool. Why is Alexandros terrified of the true sword right now? I guess, or what about the true sword scares him?
Well, he can tell that his body is. He can tell that this is a very it's a very small minded kind of fear. This isn't galactic, but last time he had a sort of a psychic episode, it really messed him up, and he's afraid if he has another really bad seizure, he may not survive it.
Right.
And he doesn't know whether or not, you touch fire and it hurts and you're like, I don't think I should touch fire again. And that's to him, even though this presumably has the knowledge of what he needs to know, he's like, he just doesn't know how to control whether or not he's going to get lost in time again. And if he does that, he doesn't know if he'll survive and he doesn't know what he might break.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, the sword says, Lord Alexei, do I have your permission to forge a psychic link with you so that I may acquaint myself with the situation since being recharged?
No.
So noted. Would you like a an array of? Would you like a choice of um, holographic tutors?
Yes. This is totally fucking space phone tree right now, and I love it. It's like if you choose the phone tree option for psychic control, press one.
Right, right. Uh, it like it doesn't have any regular any up to date um images for you, right? So it shows you please choose Theano, who is the engineering nun,
Mm-hmm.
if you would like guidance about uh, science and engineering problems. Uh, please,
I think I just interrupt it and say Theano.
yeah, and Theano is there, but it's not this like Saint Theano figure who you've been seeing.
Right.
It's the Theano that you knew, who was just like a good engineer nun.
Yeah.
Now she's like this mythic figure who gave a true sword to whoever the fuck you are now.
Was. Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, I also know that Sister Theano was one of the people who was the most passionate about. Like when I wanted to know about the decaying orbit, she was the one who knew. She was the one who
yeah,
she was the one who told me that Troy was the only thing that would be able to pull us back into orbit.
right.
It's coming back to me. This is just Sean literally
Yep, yep,
remembering
yep.
right now.
That's very true. That's all true.
So I think because of the way I know her, I don't greet her as saint. I greet her as sister
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because that's just
Yeah, I
doesn't.
mean, you never knew her as Saint, and you don't know how that process happened. It
Yeah,
happened like while you've been jumping.
yeah. And so I say, Sister Theano, it's Alexi.
I am. Please feel free to call me Sister Theano, but just for your own well-being, you should know that I am a conglomerated memory of Sister Theano and not the true thing.
Understood. Sister Theano had plans for how to restore the orbit of Ithaca Station so it did not fall into the Leviathan.
She did. Her math was uh, impeccable.
Did she have plans? Did she have contingency plans for if it did fall in? If
None that I can find.
extrapolating from what she extrapolating from the uh, the faith math, the science, the holy science that she performed, can you derive a method to escape? This is totally fucking talking, like the lone Star Trek character talking to the computer, trying to think their way out of a problem.
Yeah.
Can you extrapolate a method to escape the gravitational pull of the Leviathan once orbit has failed? Please access all other personas within the True Sword as needed.
Yeah, and I
Like,
think like you see it freezing, right, as it's thinking.
yeah,
And it says I do not know a way, but that does not mean there is no way. It means that it was not known to me. the my function is not uh, orbital telemetry. My function is battle and survival. The last memory we have before turning off was aiding you in avoiding the being prey to psychic tigers. We are disoriented.
And if we had a psychic connection, you would be able to understand the situation that we're in now better.
That would help. Yes.
And I love this moment. I'm just like looking out on like the wasteland of my home,
Right.
swirling, outside, seeing all these swirling things. The dust of the Leviathan filling up the windows, to the point where maybe there's just little tiny bits that are visible outside. And what's going through my mind, it's going through Sean's mind, probably going through Alexi's mind as well, is when do I need to go back in time to prevent this from the orbit failing?
Oh shit.
Which is a terrible idea. It's awful to fall back on that as the solution to a problem, but that's like, I knew it was possible once upon a time. In my timeline, it would have been possible to save it. At least it hadn't fallen in already.
Right.
And I know the way to do it too. I just need Troy, the capital ship. No big deal. But like,
right.
Right. But it's not like it was impossible. There was a time when it was not impossible. So I'm asking the sword, like, what's the way to do it? And in my own mind, I've already come up with a solution, which is like, well, go back in time to when this happened and fix it. Yeah. And that just seems terrible. So I think after like, I think Alexi, like, John McClane style, is just like talking to himself at this point. He's just muttering this shit. If I go back in time and I break another thing, what else will go wrong? And when he's sort of like talked himself through this seeming like, no win situation, then he finally comes and says, "Okay, True Sword, you have my permission to forge a psychic link."
Awesome. Yeah, and it says it processes that for a while and then says we have a new array of choices for you. Would you like to have your tutoring construct appear as Saint Theano, as Alexi Tertiary, or Saint Theano for temporal theory, or Alexi Tertiary for political science, or Astara for void navigation. Thank you. Whoop. I'll go back. Got it.
And I'm thinking like, okay. And again, I think I'm just muttering. I'm walking around the hall holding the sword, walking in a circle with all the ancestors in their glitchy form, looking at the physical statue of Sir Pens and then the holographic glitchy one. And I'm like, go back in time, Theano. Figure out how to get Troy to agree to this. Political science? Myself? I'm just sort of like, um, and 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 I'm like, void navigation. I don't think. Let's try that first. Let's try the non supernova, the non nuke version of this.
Right, right.
Because from the beginning, Alexei was really always trying not to abuse the power that he had, and it was
Yeah.
really trying to keep people in check and acknowledging their own abuses that they could infer, and like he realized that he had a lot of privilege and was really trying his best to like you said, we didn't see him as lawless, and I think
Right.
that this is like he genuinely doesn't want to just pull the trigger and say wahoo. Like, he is not this reckless, I don't care about what happens person. Yeah, so I say, let's speak with my sister Estrada.
Cool. Yeah, I think a holographically cold version of your sister materializes before you and says, "How can I support you, Lord Alexei? Your psionic training is quite impressive."
And I'm trying really hard not to get emotional, because I'm like, this is not my sister. This is not my sister. This is not my
Yeah,
sister.
yeah,
Yeah. And I'm like, Red Sister, and I'm just calling her that as a call name, not as a.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Red Sister, you know, your expertise is in void navigation. How is it possible to get an orbiting? Is it possible to get something of the size of Ithaca Station? Is it possible to get Ithaca Station outside of the Leviathan's orbit? What sort of forces would be needed to push it out of its current orbit or its current state, and to resume an orbital telemetry?
It is possible that a ship designed exactly for that purpose could dock with Ithaca Station and push it back out to if it was designed for that purpose and could activate its engines at the perfect moment.
Are any such ships in existence today?
They would have to be custom made. No such ships exist.
Have any such ships? And he's just like looking like, I don't know what the implication of this question is. Have any such ships been designed in the next between now and the fifth age?
Yeah, and the sword glitches and says, "We do not have data leading us to the fifth age."
Because it just occurred to Alexei, there's another possibility. They're both terrible, but one is go into the past and prevent this from happening. The other one is go into the future and get a ship that's powerful enough to do this and bring it back and use it to
Right.
push it out. Can you give me the exact schematics of what's? But going to the future seems less dangerous somehow than going to the past, because I can't fuck with what's already happened if I go to what hasn't happened yet. I'm not saying I know what's going on. I'm not saying I've got this figured out, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
um,
think the sword says, I this tutorial um this holographic construct is here to help you think out problems. Um, the true sword is not constructed to build ships or to accomplish engineering feats, but based on what humans have accomplished in the past, we believe it is possible. based on your questions, it seems that you might not be fully aware of my capabilities. And that's
That's
concerning.
that's true. We've only had one exchange before, and it was in a moment of duress. You said that your nature was your before we had the psychic link. You said your primary function was battle and survival. This I'm talking about the survival of all of my people and the survival of the station. I don't know if I'm stretching your definition of survival, but to me, this looks like we failed. This looks like we all died. Everyone on the station perished.
Some perished, many were evacuated. It is, some might say that this is a failure, but it is remarkable that the station still exists at all.
And it's my home. And I want to and he's really struggling with like how much is this just me being selfish and just like wanting to have like this place versus how much is it actually needed by people. And I think this is the true sword said this is an opportunity for me to think through problems. So I'm sort of talking out loud and perhaps psychically as well, just saying like, does this make a difference in the peace of my people and their overall survival? And I think I have enough information to read a sitch.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out like, what do I need to do to help my family, and is it really worth tampering? So I think I'm going to roll read a sitch. I think I'm going to roll leadership because at this point it's basically like what very high level sort of command action should I take to
Sounds good.
And the true sword speaketh the truth. That's a 12.
Nice.
My first of the night.
Nice. Read that sitch. You want to ask a question?
Yeah. When I'm saying me, I really mean my people.
Right.
In this. So, they're so good. Who or what? Maybe I'll ask that in a second. What represents the best opportunity for me to restore my family? Is that too broad a question? And by restore my family, I mean give them a sense of home and purpose. It doesn't have to be Ithaca Station necessarily. Like
right.
I think that's what I'm trying to figure out right now is like, is Ithaca Station what they need to have to find their sense of self and purpose?
Right.
And that's
I would say Ithaca Station is definitely a source of your family's power and centrality. Like that's not bullshit.
Yeah.
The idea of your family being organized around a fleet of ships during wartime, like that would last for the war, but afterwards you'd be a glorified pirate clan.
Yeah. We really do need a place to call home.
Yeah. I mean, and just the way oaths and titles are doled out. There were, your vassals look after the ships that you make in the shipyard of your ancestral station, right? Like that's how this feudal model works.
Yeah.
So yes, your family does need this place.
Yeah.
Would be my answer, in order to have any sense of power or purpose as you knew it.
Um, and I'm talking through this with I'm talking through this with the true sword, and I'm just like, okay, consider time travel as a possibility. Here are two different possible ways that I can conceive of to make this happen. Go back to before the station was lost, or go forward to a time where I could bring back technology that could restore the station. What poses the biggest? Is that the right question to ask? I think that's right. What poses the biggest threat to me? Of like, as I consider these options, like what?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest threat to you is definitely time travel, in general,
Yeah,
um, and uh, and your own ignorance of where you are right now. You have no idea where you are in the time stream right now,
right,
like literally none. And so, like, the biggest threat to you right now is your own ignorance, and what could happen if you time traveled again.
right. Okay, cool. Well, then
And
that
I've got something that is going to happen. I'm kind of waiting. So when you're done asking questions and kind of figuring things out, then
yeah,
like feel free to like start to do something. But I'm also going to have something happen. So like
cool,
something is coming.
awesome.
I don't want you to feel like, oh, if I don't do something, Jed's just going to let me sit here in the station forever. That's not
I
how
mean,
it's shaking out. I've got a thing that's going to happen. I'm just kind of waiting for what's next.
yeah, I think like um no, I love the idea that I'm just like sitting here on this desolate station, like trying to figure out what's going on, and so I like that feeling of like emptiness and listlessness and floating through time and space,
Yeah.
unaware and untethered. So my question now is going to be like, what's my best way out of Leviathan, out of here? Because I feel like that's the only way I'm going to learn where I am, when I am, etc. Not at the station getting out. Just what's the best way for me to get out? And feel free to interrupt with your action before answering that if you want to. Like I think I'm literally like walking around, looking outside, and like, how do I get off this rock? Like, how do I get out of here to do anything about this?
Yeah.
Um,
And like the best way to get off, you realize as you're like looking around and trying to figure shit out, is and through a hazy sensor, you see that there's a ship coming.
mm,
And it's like your best way out is that ship.
yeah,
And I think that's where we'll end it tonight, is with a ship called the Echidna uh docking. Um and I think the way it docks is it kind of like uh it doesn't just dock into like one dock. It like engulfs like a side of the um a side of the station, and you realize that like this is the hypothetical ship that the true sword was talking about.
talking about
Yeah, like where it's latching itself onto a side of the station, and it has engines that want to drive the station and not itself. And um soldiers in void armor uh, get out, disembark in a pattern that because it's from your family's training, and that these are like your family soldiers, and the leader, the captain of the ship, and the leader of this cadre walks into the ancestral home of your family, and the guard droids, the SAS units, back away from it, which means that it's whoever this person is in this void armor that you've never really seen before. Uh, they're a member of your family, because otherwise the SAS units would be,
defending
defending
yeah,
you.
yeah.
And
I think as they come in, I'm standing in front of the statue, and there's like a long shadow of Sir Pens, the giant statue of Sir Pens, across me, and like, but it's clear that I'm like standing facing whoever's coming in to see who it is. And I like clear, and like the void visor clears again as sort of a gesture of like, this is who I am. Who are you?
yeah, and I think the visor goes away, and it's someone who like looks familiar, but you've never seen them before, and we'll end on this. They say, "I'm Leto, king of the orbits, chosen of the Leviathan. Who are you?" And we'll end there.
Oh my god!
And man, this just keeps getting weirder. I love it. Like every time I'm like, oh, that was a cool, weird little sci-fi game. We'll get back to normal now. And it's like, nope, not back to normal. That's great. Fun.
I love it. Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
Cool. And I'm sorry if I like let you struggle on Ithaca Station a little too long. Like I felt like I don't want to like go over that line of like, the character struggling in a weird, desolate place, and the player just being like, Judd, what the fuck do you want me to do? Like, I'm not touching the right pixel, and you're being a jackass, and I hate you, and I hate this game.
No, it's funny
Cool.
because I feel like if I had fewer fears and I was more just like, yeah, let's time travel to fix it all. Like, I feel like if that was the kind of person that Alexis was, and there wasn't a way to do that, I might have been really like, come on, like, what do you want me to do? But he didn't want to take this rash action because it was so catastrophic last time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he has some real trauma about this, and it's really
good.
It's really like not like I took 3 hit points of damage now and I'm back. Like he's been permanently changed by this experience and is scared of it. And so it's I think it's really neat to spend that time. I mean, this time almost felt like the montagey kind of sequence of like somebody's trying really hard to figure out a way to do this without pushing the big red button, because I knew that was a possibility, but it's a very scary one. So I know I liked it. I was very happy.
Cool.
I didn't. It was a slow pace, but it was an introspective one. And
Good.
Rad. Well, friends, thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for making us feel welcome in chat and checking out this cool game, this weird game. The Jed and I just keep reinventing what the game is about every time we play. I feel like this is perhaps one of our most ambitious games, in the notion that we're just like, premise ? Changes from
cool sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
Swords in space, and then like I feel like we're just like, all right, what parts of Dune haven't we fucked with yet?
Yeah,
all right. Like
yeah,
we got
yeah.
swords in space. That was
It's
cool.
it's
Now,
got a
what
little
about the
like
weird shit?
Fafnir, Grey
Yeah,
Mouser vibe to it as well. It's like, what if Fafnir was king? I don't know. What if Fafnir was a Bart was like a bandit? Like what? Like it because like we've gotten several different Alexei versions, not only because of time travel, just because of positionality.
yeah.
You know, yeah. I feel like Fritz Lieber would just like start stories and just be like,
I don't
mm,
know. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
what
yeah.
about what if? And
Yeah.
yes,
I feel like I feel like we're like taking this weird tour of Dune. Like someone like wrote down all the themes of Dune and threw them into a jar, and we're like picking on like nah sword fight in space. Cool, done. Weird time travel shit. Is that really in Dune? Kinda done. Yeah. Genetic memory done. Yeah, like just like weird. Yeah,
yeah,
just going and not just like the main Doom book, but like Dune and Children of Dune and Doom Messiah and Chapter House and all that weird shit that
very
I
much so.
really need to go back and reread because I have only the vaguest memory of God Emperor, and so now I've got to go back and
Yeah, what
check
does
them all
10,000
out.
years in the future look like in that in there?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, I like it. I like that we're all over the place and premise shrug. Um, I don't know. There's like an old school thing to that where you start with D&D and then you grow beyond it.
you wind
And
up in Shadowrun, and you're just like, eh?
or I mean I think so like the standard thing that you tend to see, right? Like when you're just kind of D&Ding it up is
Yeah,
like you're playing D&D and then the characters get powerful and so they like get a castle of their own and so you've got to get rules for that
right.
and you kind of grow beyond the premise. And yeah, so I feel like there is something very old school about, as you said, laying the tracks as the train goes.
Yeah,
That I think is kind of cool. And I don't know. I think Apocalypse World is very old school in its vibe, and so using that as like our touch point is awesome to me. And throwing a dash of Traveler every now and then, even though I think we've like lit that box set on fire in the best of ways, is totally
yeah,
cool. But again, I don't think we're like outside. People would, I think it could be easily argued that like, well, we're outside of the premise of Traveler box set, little black box set. But I
yeah.
think that box set was like, hey, we don't know what science fiction novel you've just read that you're all kind of excited about. So start here and then go wherever your weird reading takes you. And anyway, I don't think we're that far out, but we're pretty far out of yeah, I like it. Anyway, I like what we're doing. I think it's cool and I stand by it. Um,
Yep. It's
I
good
stand
stuff.
by I stand by this hot mess.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad to stand by your side in this
Yeah.
audience.
Awesome.
All right, friends. We're going to sign off. I'm Sean. You can find me over at Sean Nittner. Big news for me is a month from now will be Big Bad Online. So if you have not signed up already, I highly encourage you to do it because it'll be uh, 24 hours of amazing panels with some really, really wonderful speakers presenting on both topical game related stuff and practicum industry related stuff. And it is going to be very high caliber and it's free. So you can check it out at bigbadcon.com. That's
Cool.
the URL, yes. And yeah, that's me. What about you, Judd?
Hey, I'm Judd. He, him. I feel like I didn't do that this game. And yeah, my links are up. I feel like the main consistent thing I've been doing now is making t-shirts. And there's a cool thing on Threadless where you can make all the t-shirts, uh, all the artist proceeds, all the art money that would have come to me go to cool charities.
Oh, right.
So I just jack up all the artist proceeds to charities to 100% and then make things that maybe me and two people in the world would want to wear. So and then just don't care and then move on to the next one. So if you want to see a bunch of it's called The Shop of Judd. It's in my links, and I'll put it in the show notes once this goes up on YouTube too. And yeah, I mean, I just what there we were rewatching Deep Space Nine, and we kept hearing Subspace Anomaly. So like literally, I made a T-shirt that just says Subspace Anomaly with like
Nice.
cool stars in the sci-fi lettering as the color of the sci-fi lettering, and as a black T-shirt, it looks splendid. And then just like stuff like that, just T-shirts that are cool for me and a couple of my friends and maybe you. And I've got one called Knife Fights in Space with some cool Dune font that I bought. And anyway, check it out. I've got one, The Sleeper Must Awaken. Uh, look around, see if there's something you like. And if there is, it goes to a bit of money that would have come to me comes to that my piece of it goes to a charity, and then I think Threadless throws a couple bucks at the charity too.
Oh,
So
cool.
that's fun. You
That's
can
awesome.
and you can also, it doesn't have to be a T-shirt. It can also be a sticker or a duvet or a blanket or a shower curtain or a mug. Johnny has a pretty cool mug that says Goth AF on it with a big bat skeleton. Anyway, that's what I've been up to.
Very
I've
cool.
also been blogging, and my podcast has been a little bit on hiatus while I've been moving, but I've got about 3 episodes that are about 70% done. So hopefully some more podcast episodes will come out soon for Daydreaming About Dragons. And that's what I've been up to. A lot of this and that, as always. And it's nice to get back to gaming. We'll be here. Sean and I just figured out our October kind of Moons of Leviathan schedule. Jay and I are getting back to Marduk Forever.
Oh, very
And
cool.
we're getting some Dictionary of Mu Sorcerer on. And yeah, it's good.
Excellent.
Nice to be back.
Yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks for this show, and yeah, just stay tuned to our Twitters basically to find out when the rest of it's going on. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Good night.
Good night.